Hello everybody, this is Eli and welcome back to Elfbait, where we are continuing to tackle the Dungeons & Dragons 30-day challenge. And today we are at day 13, your favorite trapper puzzle. Now, I'm not sure how much can be said about this. I mean, asking what your favorite trapper puzzle is kind of an odd question. I mean, as a player, you hate them all, and as a DM, you use them as you need to. It's not like monsters where they have a lot of personality or anything like that. And certainly, one's as good as another in most cases. I mean, spike trap, falling stone trap, pit trap, all damaging traps. There are certainly gas traps and stuff like that. So, I've been playing, since the 80s. And back then we had this guy named Grimtooth, and Grimtooth was this troll who created some of the most insane, convoluted traps you could possibly imagine. I think there were like 4 books, including, and then on top of that, a dungeon, built around his kind of insanity. But Grimtooth found these crazy, often really intricate ways to trap things. Not necessarily Rube Goldberg, level type of level stuff, but just hey, this has to happen before this has to happen. But anyways, those traps were also kind of dickish in a lot of ways, and so they, while they were cool to read about, you didn't use a lot of them against your players. But back then, traps existed in dungeons almost really for traps' sake. They were just part of the fabric of dungeons, and you ran into them as a player, and the thief was the only one who could really save you from them, other than your own personal saving throw. But nowadays, modern gaming, grown-up gaming, whatever you want to call it, traps have sort of fallen in a lot of circles out of favor. And they become in some cases, they're considered sort of a cheat. Now, while I don't agree with that, I feel there's a time and a place for a trap. I definitely agree, though, that to use a trap effectively, you have to put it in the context that makes the most sense. If you are going to have a trap that, if you're going to have a trap, it has to be there for a reason. And so that reason has to make sense for the dungeon that you're in. Certainly I've covered this in another video before, specifically on kind of, my take on traps and how to place them, how to use them, and ways to make them less of kind of a big giant spring-loaded FU to your party. But nowadays, my preferred trap type, I'm not going to get into specifics because, again, it's like being asked to pick, which is your favorite kid. Hazards. Hazards for me have become a trap that I really like to use. It is the trap that is not a trap. And because it is not a trap, you are often going to find that your players are less, angry about the use of them. So for me, I definitely like hazards. Hazards are part of the backdrop. They're part of the scenery. They exist as part of the structure of the world, and they weren't planted there with the express purpose of forcing your players, or the party, not your players, but their characters, to expend resources and, really just take damage along the way. Hazards are things that are crumbling walls, or old bridges, or tangling vines, or the remnants of old spiders that have moved on that now form these kind of claustrophobic cobwebs. Whatever the case may be, whatever it is that's in the environment that is going to impede your players and force them to use some sort of caution or resource, or maybe a spell, or their actions, or slow them down. These are the things that traps are designed to do in most cases, except for the ones that are specifically designed to be lethal, horrible things. But hazards are definitely a way to do that. And in the end, your players feel like this was something that enriched the environment rather than something that you laid in their path to really just screw them over. And so, yes, I would say at this point in my life, hazards are certainly my favorite kind of trap. Now, I feel like this video would be a bit of a cheat if I didn't talk about some traps that I have used. So a good example of a trap I've recently used was a doorway trap at the opening of a warlock's castle, and it's a trap with a minor puzzle element in that it had that really basic one-line riddle. But the setup for the trap is the players approach the door to the warlock's tower. It is flanked by two almost costumed towers. You know, the sort of thing that you would find on the facade of a building that's trying to make it look like a castle, but not actually be a castle. So they got these little, you know, parapet type things out there with, you know, slits. And one of the characters looks in, and he can see that in each of these kind of mostly round structures is a golden statue of an archer with a red tipped, with a red gem as the arrowhead on each of these. They look to be on some sort of a pivot, which makes sense considering there are loopholes or arrow slits around the towers that they're in, and there's one on each side of the door. Now above the door is a simple riddle or passphrase, and it says, "Speak the truth and you shall not burn." And so they didn't even bother to say anything. They went through, and so the statues fired firebolts at them from the enchanted, basically wands of firebolt or whatever you want to call them, that were built into the statues. And it's a warlock's tower. There's magic there, so why not? But yes, this was a nice. I like this kind of trap because, in my mind, this is the trap that players don't necessarily hate. They had plenty of warning that something was up. There's the description of these little artistic, kind of decorative towers. Inside them are statues that have some sort of special property to the arrowheads. They're gems. Why would you hide a statue in my mind, I'm thinking, why would you hide a statue that is so nicely made inside something where you can barely see it? And this is just artistic flair on the part of the warlock who set this up. So there's that. There is a warning of doom. There's then a explicit message that says there is danger. Speak the truth and you shall not burn. So it's really laying it right out there for the party. So at this point, what they do next is completely up to them, and like it should be. And what happens from those actions is going to be directly related to how they interpret that data. In this case, my players completely ignored the message, opened the doors to the warlock's tower, triggering the trap. Now, the trap was simply a first layer of security left by the warlock. He's a busy man. He's maybe not able to answer the door, so he wants people to be able to get in because he does have guardians and stuff inside, and there are other wards and stuff inside. And, but at this point, this is a way to have the front door protected, but not guarded or impassable. In this case, the players simply would have had to have stated their true intentions coming into the tower, and it would have disarmed that first line of security. Now, if their true intentions were to rob the tower, that's interesting that the warlock would disarm that, but I feel that when you have something like that in a game, your players are then going to wonder, okay, I have said that I'm here to rob the tower, or I'm here to maybe loot the tower, explore the tower, whatever it is. I'm here to bug the crap out of the warlock, whatever it is. You're delivering, junk mail to the warlock, and it's just going to let you in. So the players are now given a warning. Even if they succeed in this trap, the trap's success and it's the ease of which that it's succeeded kind of sets them up for greater suspicion. They're now inside, and all they had to do is simply say, honestly, while they're there, why they're there, even though that statement may indicate that they are definitely there for some sort of wrongdoing, looting the tower, robbing the tower, killing the warlock. But if he doesn't care, what does that say about what's inside? So now they're inside. They've got all this other stuff. Now in that tower, there were other wards, there were other traps, there was an alarm, there was even a secret magical transporter. It was a portal that was used, that was hidden, that the warlock would have used in the past to make a quick escape to the top of the tower. It was triggered by one of the players who pretty much like third room into the dungeon. We ended up with a party split because one of the players just kind of walked on in. Magical portal, let's just walk in. Whee! And then it closed behind him because it's a one-shot because the warlock doesn't want people following behind him. So that is one of the more recent traps that I've used that I really like. I have in the past used, convoluted traps, like I mentioned, the Grimtooth stuff. But, really, traps are varied in form, and really, they just require some sort of setup, a way to get past them, and the consequences of what happens if you don't. But to really sell them, just remember, make sure they make sense. If you throw a random trap in there for no freaking reason, the person who put it there should be loony, or there's some other, auto-generating trap thing that's going on. Anyways, this is Eli with Elfbait. Thanks for coming by again, following up on the 30-day challenge. Like, share, subscribe, leave your comments below. Tell me, what is your favorite trap? Why do you like the trap that you do? Do you hate traps? Do you think that people who use traps should burn in all 666 layers of the abyss? What is it that you think about traps? Tell me down below. And hey, get out and game.